become force to be reckoned with and representing the interests of the brain trust of this university. We start our day of action with a press conference that launches the People's 2030 platform, and I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Ben Robinson.
Thank you, Maria. Yes, I'm Ben Robinson, Professor of Germanic Studies here at IU Bloomington, a member of the Executive Committee of the American Association of University Professors, AAUP, and I'm speaking as a representative of the Coalition for the People's 2030 Project for IU Bloomington. And we'll have other speakers speaking across the range of that coalition and also defining more about what that coalition consists of. None of you here today need to be reminded of the urgency of the moment. Higher education is under attack, not just by the Trump administration. Already last spring, over 3,400 protesters against genocide in Gaza were arrested on our campuses. The House Committee on Education and Workforce, in an eerie echo of the McCarthy-era House Un-American Activities Committee, weaponized anti-Semitism in hearings directed against some of the country's most prominent university presidents. Today, federal departments from Education and Justice to Homeland Security and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission are investigating students and faculty for alleged crimes against U.S. foreign policy support for genocide. Human rights have been declared a national threat. More than 900 international students have already had their visas revoked. Many have been detained and deported. Billions in grants have been frozen or cut. Reimbursement rates for research have been slashed. Departments have been coerced into receivership, program directors dismissed, special police forces and disciplinary bodies established. Censorship and fear are rampant. At the same time, the federal government has declared an unconstitutional war on higher education's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Programs, departments, services by and for historically marginalized students and faculty are being demonized and shut. We at IU Bloomington know what we stand for, and today are joining others across the higher education sector for a national day of action on over 178 campuses in 44 states. We are fighting back. We are a coalition of faculty, students, staff, and community stakeholders. We represent the university wall to wall. Every day we learn and teach, research and debate, and hold together departments, dorms, and databases. We feel firsthand the injuries inflicted by the attacks on higher education. Our job is to make higher education into the wellspring of our democracy. Whether it's a scholarly forum where people assemble to speak truth to power, or as labs and classrooms where young people learn to reason publicly and scientifically. Under today's assaults, our communities suffer as friends and neighbors face censorship, deportation, discrimination, and the disruption of our life's work. But not only do individuals suffer, democracy itself falters as the communities that the university serves lose their voice. We are here today to say to our administration, to donors and political leaders, we will not yield to arbitrary power. Our mission to foster reflection, knowledge, and civil courage, and whether educated or uneducated, citizen or non-citizen, we are assembled here to announce that we will defend the vision of education for human dignity and the public good. Among the coalition's demands are acknowledgement of the government's attacks on higher education, explicit refusal to fall in line with authoritarian demands from donors or officials, coordination within and across institutions to defend academic values and protect students, scholars, and workers from injury and interference, full legal representation for illegally targeted international students, scholars, and workers who have had visas revoked or threatened, due process for our irregularly terminated colleague Xiaofeng Wang, dignity, well-being, and due process for all academic labor, whether staff, student, or faculty, and an education that reflects the public good, the diversity of our people, the autonomy of the university, and the free exploration of values and meanings. Our speakers will be Our other speakers in the press conference will be Bryce Greene from the Palestine Solidarity Committee, Sasha Weiss from the Disabled Graduate Workers Affinity Group, Clem Ledbetter from Friends of Dorothy, Lex Haywood from IUB staff, and Elijah Beaton from the Indiana Graduate Workers Coalition. I'll let each speaker in the press conference introduce themselves as they come to the mic. Thank you, everyone.
Hello to everyone here today. My name is Bryce Greene, and I am a graduate student, a graduate worker, and an advisor to the Palestine Solidarity Committee. We're here because we have understood for some time that the only way that anything changes at this university is if we stick together and we don't allow our voices to be silenced by the administration that wants to harm student interests and that claims to represent students but fails to do so consistently. We have put together a platform as part of the People's 2030 Coalition by interfacing with stakeholders from all parts of the university. Students, undergrads, graduate students, faculty, and staff, all of them with explicit needs that have been ignored by the university for years and years and years. The Palestine Solidarity Committee has joined this coalition because we understand that IU is complicit in some of the worst crimes in history, and we have the right to go to an institution without being complicit in those crimes. Through Freedom of Information requests, we have learned that Indiana University is actively invested in the state of Israel as it continues its brutal genocide against the people of Gaza. We are invested, we have bought Israeli bonds, which effectively means that we are lending money to Israel as it kills tens of thousands of people. This is unconscionable, and we need to speak out against it. The reason that we have joined with the coalition of groups is because we understand that alone, these voices can be easily ignored by the university, but together, we are strong. And so we hope to use this platform and this coalition as a jumping off point for future action in the university space to ensure that all the needs of all the stakeholders, of every member of the IU community are met. Thank you.
Sorry, it's going to take me a sec to get here.
Hello, my name is Sasha Weiss, he, they pronouns. I'm also a graduate student and worker here at IU, and I'm here representing the interests of the disabled community on campus. We are here. I know it might not seem like it because this entire university is one sprawling field made of hills and stairs, but we do actually exist and we do work here and go here. Except for, you know, the 20 to 50% of the time that we quite literally can't get our foot in the door. I'm not sure how many of you tried to use the elevator to get up here, but I timed it. It took more than 10 minutes to arrive. If you were trying to get to, say, a class, say you taught across campus and you had 20 minutes of a passing period to get from there to here, and you're trying to go upstairs, there are 5 stairs, inexplicably, that block you from entering this atrium. So you have to wait half of your passing period just to get in the door. That's ridiculous. That's genuinely absurd. Now, it'd be super great if we had an office that we could call to say, hey, this is a massive breach of the ADA. This is a clear, unnecessary, and totally useless barrier that keeps the school effectively segregated from its own disabled workers and students. But there's no centralized office that handles that. There are actually 3. If you're staff, you would go through HR, and that's only for accommodations. If you're a student, you go through AES, formerly known as Disability Studies. They changed the name because the government wanted to get rid of it. And if you're teaching, you go through the VPFAA. I don't know what it stands for. All of these only handle actual literal accommodations in the classroom or in your job capacity. None of them handle access barriers on campus or with facilities or parking. There's no office to take these complex and very specific issues to, which means they fall on us to figure out. I've worked here for 3 years, and I only just learned last month that there's a parking lot outside of the building that I teach in. behind it. Because no one tells you that stuff. So what that means is, if IU doesn't accept a certain number of disabled grad students or undergrad students at a given time, all that institutional knowledge goes away because it's just handed down from people who need it to people who need it. That's terrible and not sustainable. Why am I here to talk about this? Well, instead of investing in, say, fixing that elevator, IU spent, how much money did they spend resodding a lawn?
Like $300,000?
Yeah, like $300,000 to fix Dunn Meadow, when they're the ones who used a dirt scoopy thing to pull up all of the irrigation lines and then blame the student protesters. We didn't touch those. We didn't have shovels. That garden was dug by hand, please. But yeah, they're more concerned about lawn maintenance than they are about actually working as a school for everyone who works and goes here. In a similar vein, none of us know how we're supposed to leave in an emergency. I'm sure you've noticed that all of the elevators have little signs on them that say, "This will not work in case of a fire, use stairs." What if you can't use stairs? I'm not kidding. A friend of mine's department admin said, "Oh, well, you can technically walk, so we'll just have you walk down the multiple flights of stairs in case of a fire." Just because my friend is an ambulatory wheelchair user doesn't mean they don't need the wheelchair. And what if they couldn't walk? Oh, I guess you just burned to death then because IU has provided zero training on how to survive a disaster. Again, ridiculous. So these are massive problems and they're only getting worse because IU has no policy in place to protect its disabled staff, students, and faculty in the event that the government starts to dismantle Section 504 and the ADA. It would be super easy for them to do this. All they would have to do is codify everything that's in those into IU policy, so that regardless of what the federal government does, our university says, well, this is our policy. But it's not a priority for them, so they haven't bothered. Why is this urgent? Well, as people will discuss in subsequent speeches, IU canceled a queer health conference a couple months back. It's important because things like that are necessary and life-saving measures, because if you don't have the health concerns for specific groups of people actually being studied, you won't be able to help those people survive life-threatening medical complications. How does this connect? Well, lo and behold, just a month after they canceled this conference, showing that they are genuinely not interested in protecting queer and chronically ill or disabled people in the state of Indiana, the government straight up just removed protections for trans people under Section 504. So it's happening already. They're already dismantling these laws, and IU is complying in advance. So what is Section 504? It's effectively the precursor to the ADA, and it's the civil rights law that gives disabled people equal rights to access spaces like school, work, and healthcare facilities. Oh wait, IU is all of those things. If the government takes Section 504 and IU does nothing to stand in its way, that means people like me won't be able to go to work, your disabled classmates won't be able to go to class, and none of us will be able to access healthcare, which is a hot mess and not okay, and very much in line with IUPD's commitment to state violence both in Palestine and here. I'm sure you all know about the snipers and the cops beating people up over the summer last year. What you may not know is they also went out of their way to run over all of our first aid supplies and then took them. Among the things in there was my EpiPen, and they wouldn't give it back for over a week. They only gave it back because I threatened to sue them and told them that if I died from anaphylaxis, it would be their fault. Thankfully, they're cowards, so they believed my bluff, but I straight up could have died without it. I go into anaphylaxis all the time, and I don't have $80 spare because we don't make a living wage. My point is, if all of this is happening, I'm just one person, but IU has promised on many of their websites that 7% of the staff, students, and faculty are disabled. That's definitely an undercount, because a full quarter of the population is. So think about it, look around the room. A quarter of the people here could lose all of the accommodations that make this place the barest minimum of accessible to us. That's disgusting, and that's shameful. And IU would rather give Pam a raise than spend the minor amount of money it would take to actually sit down, run a couple meetings, and put any of this into policy. That's bad prioritization, and it's a bad university move. Because the university isn't about Pam or her salary or Dunn Meadow. It's about everyone around us right now. It doesn't run without us. So it better make itself actually accessible to us before it stops running completely because we all disappear. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Clem Ledbetter. My pronouns are they, them. I am here as a representative of the career organizing group Friends of Dorothy and to represent the undergrad class as well. In true undergrad style, I must admit, I didn't even start practicing the speech until late last night, so here we go. That is, after all, what I was promised. That's what the sitcoms and the comedies and Monsters University promised me. Best years of our lives, right? No, not now. My tuition, ever increasing, is being used to fund and develop bonds that are used to destroy mosques, churches, hospitals, and universities in Gaza. My colleagues, co-workers, classmates are at risk of visa cancellations and of having their green card revoked, despite doing everything the quote right way. My memorial union, our memorial union, where we drink coffee and eat and procrastinate our assignments, was opened by administration for snipers to peruse and point guns at their students. When my father tells me about his undergrad, he tells me the crazy frat parties he went to and all the things I probably shouldn't share here that he was up to. When I tell my undergrad, I would tell the time I saw a cop choke a colleague until his face turned blue. My international friends are scared to speak. They do not know what to do. They wonder if they should leave, or if that's to protect themselves, or if that would be too much of a concession. Because they know that, God forbid, that if ICE were to knock on their dorm door, this university would not lift a damn finger. My trans friends, myself, my partner, we all fear that if this country were to continue to dehumanize us and see us as lesser than, that if they were to go after our names, our pronouns, or professors, our Kinsey Institute, which does important research, this university would only facilitate it. We know that because they canceled the LGBT plus health conference, in advance. They didn't have to do that. This is not leadership. This is a ship that is sinking, and we are here because we refuse to let people drown. This is why we are here at the risk of repression. When I inform my classmates of the things that I do, making silly little pins and folding zines, of writing this speech and speaking to you all here today, I see a beautiful glimmer in their eyes. I see hope. Hope that in these times are all too rare. And together, all of us, the beautiful people here, the beautiful people to the left of me, the people listening, the people at this university, we can deliver something more than hope. We can deliver change. We can eliminate our part, at least at the university, our part in producing weapons used to destroy people, refugee camps, and places of worship. We can make this place a sanctuary campus. We can protect each other when the state has gone after us. We can, in other words, lead when others have failed. And that is an education. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Haywood. I'm speaking today on behalf of Bloomington staff. I'm a custodial staff member here at the dorms, and we have a host of problems here at IU, including some of the lowest pay in the Big Ten, raises that don't even cover the rising cost of insurance, mandatory overtime, low staffing, and overwork. In the past 15 years, the custodial staff here at the dorms has seen nearly a 60% reduction in membership, and in that time, 4 new dorms have been constructed. We're here today endorsing this platform because we believe that IU can be a better place and can better serve their staff, their students, and their faculty. So, thank you.
I'm next in the parade. Okay, so I'm Elijah. I am a organizer for the Indiana Graduate Workers Coalition. And I just want to go over, I think that People's 2030 represents an opportunity not just to fight for higher education, but to build a university around the people and the workers that make it work. It's the workers who make IU what it is. It's the graduate workers leading language classes and lab research. It's the faculty's dedication to groundbreaking research and teaching. It's the staff who support students and make sure this university actually runs. Both in terms of support and the literal maintenance, as we just heard, of the university. I mean, look around. Like, every single slab of limestone, every clean floor, every homework assignment or lecture or lab experiment is the result of people's labor. Not the vision of the current administration or the board of trustees or the federal government. The work of people. And so when millionaires and billionaires like Trump or the governor or the board of trustees look at IU and they see a place to line their own pockets through strangling the mission of the university, they get rich from our teaching, our research, and our labor while actively dismantling everything that makes IU special. And I don't need to reiterate how cuts to federal funding will hurt local economies or like retell the staggering attacks on higher education. I think everyone here knows, right? It's frustrating to see these attacks not only from the federal government, but from our own administration as well. And these aren't random attacks, right? They're made to suppress the right of the public to a strong education. Education, research, and the university itself is a public good. And the governor and the board of trustees don't seem to remember that. They've forgotten that IU isn't a business. It's not meant to maximize profit or increase shareholder wealth. It's meant to teach. It's meant to research. It's meant to provide the people of Indiana the world-class education they deserve. And that's what the People's 2030 is ultimately about, right? It's recentering the people in this university. And that's why the IGWC has workers are fighting for that. That's all I got.
So thank you, everyone. That is our press conference. I just want to reiterate that this event has 2 dimensions. One, inside of IU, represented by the People's 2030 Coalition, which brings us together wall to wall. So all sectors of the university, from staff to student organizations, undergraduate, graduate students, LGBTQAI+, to underrepresented minorities. We are all represented in this coalition, and it's about building a vision of the IU we all deserve, as opposed to the one that the administration sees fit to deal us. On the other dimension, we are organizing with over 178 campuses to force the federal government to recognize that higher education is a sector that's central not only to economy, well-being, human realization, but is the very wellspring of our democracy. We are out in force, and let this day be the beginning of higher education's assertion of our centrality to our mission and to the democracy in our country. Thank you all for being here. We will go to 4:45 here, and then we'll be followed by a rally in Dunn Meadow at 5 p.m. Thank you.